Hey everyone, and welcome to this summit, Protecting Wildlife. And today we have a very, very special guest with us, and her name is Alejandra Monge. I hope I say your name correctly. Welcome to you, my lovely friend. Can you please say your name?
Sure. Hi, Tanya. I'm very excited to be here. Yes, my name is Alejandra Monge, and I'm the executive director of the Corcovado Foundation. That is an non-profit organization that works in Costa Rica, especially focused on the southern Pacific of Costa Rica, which is the most biologically intense place in the world, according to National Geographic.
Oh, wow, I did not know that. And tell us short about what you're doing. So to you that is watching this interview, in the newsletter that you have 3 videos from their work. So please go in to see them and share the link that will serve the organization so much if you choose to share them on your social media. So tell me a little about the organization.
Well, our organization started as a nonprofit, basically focused on trying to stop illegal logging in this area that was full of beautiful forest, and it was very, it was very fragile. It was incredible ecosystems, and for some bad decisions of the government, we were facing a lot of logging, some with permits, some without permits. And the foundation started working really hard to stop the logging and to strengthen the protected areas in Costa Rica. Later, we understood that we could not just work on seaturtle, on the protection of national parks, but we needed to include people so that people would help us or understand the value of our heritage and the value of their surroundings. So we started our environmental education program in 2003, and later in 2006, we started a sea turtle conservation program. And later on, we did a project with sustainable tourism and community-based tourism. So we focus on promoting awareness about the natural resources, about strengthening those that are protecting it, but also we focus a lot in generating income for the local communities so that they don't have to rely so much on natural resources, and that they can protect their environment.
Thank you so much. What is the 3 biggest threat you are facing in your work in the field?
Okay, so the biggest threats that we face in our work is, well, we work in a very isolated area, also very extreme weather. So weather is very challenging for what we do. So many times our people, ourselves, we face, we have to cross rivers, we have to go, we're isolated, or because there's mudslides and the roads become impassable. Several occasions we have been completely incommunicated, no television, no telephone, no internet. So there's no way to communicate. In some cases, we haven't been without electricity, water, or a way to get out. So we work in a very isolated place where the communities are also very, very isolated, and which is why they need us so much, because they're because of their isolation, the government has been underserving them. So we have very little participation from the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health. There's very little presence of them over there. So there's it's a big void of the needs of the community. So that's one of the biggest threats that we face.
I'm very curious about when you don't have what you call it, power and water. What are you doing? Because this is too big thing you need to have.
Yeah, well, when you're working in rural areas, you kind of like depend. You don't depend in electricity as much as you depend, like for example, in the States or in a developed country, because we don't have extreme weathers. Like we don't have weather where like the heat is so much that you need to have an AC, or the cold is so much that you need to heat up a house. We don't have any of those things. Houses are open. But yes, I mean, you cannot charge your phones, you cannot charge your computers, you can communicate with anybody. Normally when there's no electricity, there's no internet. So it's really hard to get communication across. And yes, it's definitely very difficult. And for the communities too, and that gives them kind of like a disadvantage when they're learning about things, because they don't have the access that we are so used to, very often they're without electricity, because the power lines go through the forest to get to their towns, and when it rains, the trees fall down and cut the electricity, and that happens probably at least once a week, so it's it happens all the time. So it's a lot of, it's really hard. So we have to be very adaptable to, what we do. We have to understand that the situation is complicated. Sometimes we organize a meeting or a workshop, and then we understand that half the people is not going to be able to show up because the rivers are so big, and because they don't have a way to get there, or because they're afraid of leaving their families when they don't know that if there's going to be a mudslide or something like that. So that's one of the biggest challenge that we face. Another big challenge that we face is very often the people that work, especially with sea turtle conservation, but some of them with other species, are threatened by poachers. Just
also
last week.
Also the sea turtles.
Yeah, so when we work with sea turtles, and you'll see it in the video that we have a very interesting video about how we make a hatchery and the process that we do to remove the nest from the beach and put them in a nursery. Yeah, it is. It is
very beautiful.
Did you see the video?
Yeah, it's very beautiful, very touching.
Yeah, it is. It is and it is very important, because it's a type of climate adaptation. Because right now what's going on is that, I mean, sea turtle nests have several different threats. One of them is natural predators, which is a little bit out of control because there's no predators for those predators. So raccoon populations are out of control. On the other hand, dogs from families that are not well fed, and they go find the nests.
Yeah.
But now the biggest problem that we have is that the nesting sites have been reduced because the sea level is going higher. So when the sea level is going higher, the nesting areas get flooded and eventually get washed off. So the turtle lays the nest, and then the tide wash them off. So what we do is we remove those nests from the areas that are more fragile, and we move them to the nursery that you saw in the video. Yeah. And our volunteers do that. Our volunteers and our biologists, and very often they face threats from poachers that have been used to, like, taking the nest, and they can use them for their own things because they want to sell them or eat them. So that is definitely one of the biggest threats that we have. What we try to do is we try to be there as much as possible so that we can win the nest in a way, so that we can be there for the nest when the turtle is nesting, and be there before they actually somebody else takes the nest. But the problem we're getting lately is that some people don't like that we do that, because they're being using the turtle eggs as a way to generate some income and stuff like that. So they, for example, last week we had somebody come into our nursery and open the nests. And that's very bad for the nests because it changes the temperature. Because once the embryo is located in a certain position, should not be moved. So that's one of the biggest threats that we face.
That is
and to do that
horrible.
is horrible. And one of the things that we're trying to do to make sure that doesn't happen is we try to do more education, but we definitely have to be more aggressive in protecting the nests during the time that they're in the nursery. And of course, like,
yeah, how, like, now you're also in on something. So the biggest three threats, there are the poachings, they sink the nest, there was the flooding, there's flood the nest. And what was the first one?
Well, there's natural predators that populations are out of control. Yeah, there's an imbalance in that population where it's like completely out of control. And so
you have shared a little about it. So how do you how do you deal with these threats and with solution and turn around to something powerful about the three threats?
Well, we definitely are involving more and more Costa Ricans and local people into participating into this process so that they are more aware of the importance of the sea turtle and how we need to protect them. We talk a lot about environmental education about how important predators are in the food chain and how when you disrupt the food chain by killing predators, you are causing imbalances that are gonna affect not only other ecosystems but our lives, right? Because there's a very fragile balance in nature, and when predators disappear, that's like a big problem, and it is what we're seeing with sharks disappearing from the oceans, with lions and other animals in Africa, and with jaguars, pumas, and some other big cats that we have in Latin America. So being able to preserve those predators is fundamental. There's very interesting cases of success, like in Yellowstone, when they introduced the wolves, how the wolves brought back some balance to all these herbivores that were eating everything and producing so much erosion. So definitely one issue that we're trying to tackle is to explain to people the importance of predators in the environment, and how from snakes to hawks to coyotes to all these things, they need to be there. They're there for a reason, and we might not think they're pretty, but they're there for a reason, right? So
exactly.
Yeah.
So you can be like a healthy, what do you call it, ecosystem, like yeah, exactly. So every animal is so important to hold the balance in the nature.
Exactly.
So when you're facing that, when someone approaching go in the nest, your nest like nesting place, and take the nest up, how do you turn that around to something like powerful? Because for me, I could just feel on myself like, oh my God, that would be so horrible to see and be a part of. So how are you, what you call, keeping your mindset to positive in your work, because you are dealing with something that can be very heavy on your shoulder, I think.
Well, we know that there's numbers that say that, and several scientists have said that only 1 in every 10,000 sea turtles makes it to reproductive age. At that rate, it was impossible that the sea turtle was going to survive. Why was all this happening? Because people were stealing their eggs, because they get entangled in nets on the ocean, because they eat plastic from the ocean, because natural predators, because there's several reasons why making it to reproductive age is really, really challenging. So, but there's a lot of studies that show that these projects, even if they're not 100% successful, are making a difference. And that once you remove all the threats that are getting the nests, you're giving them much more chances. So it's more like 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000 that makes it to reproductive age. So although it is challenging and it is sad, we try to keep in mind that what we're doing is making a difference, and our volunteers are very passionate about that. And they work really, really, really hard. I mean, they every night, they go out about 3 times a night. Not the same volunteer, like a different group. One group goes from 9 to 12. The other group goes from 1 to 4. And there's a last group that goes in the morning, like at 5, to check like what happened on the beach. And that shows like an incredible commitment. And they know that they're doing them as much as they can, you know. So, you know, one thing that is really, it's really hard when they lose a nest, but they also understand that because of them, they're saving thousands of others, right? Nests. So that's one thing, definitely, that is a big thing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. How much volunteers so committed to help and give and do more for the organization. I think that's the most beautiful things to experience, and also do self to also be a part of so beautiful work you're doing.
Thank you. It is amazing, and I love talking to all these people that all these volunteers that are doing such an amazing job, and they're so committed, and it is very touching to see all these young people, and it's amazing to see, and it's very promising to see, and it's very powerful to see like how young people are every day much more involved in conservation, in human rights, in so many different areas that like we didn't think about when I was young, right? I mean, 30 years ago, when I was a 20-year-old, I didn't think about these issues, but right now, you can tell that people is much more committed, much more interested, and they're passionate, and they want to do something about it. So that's the best part, because one thing that we promote a lot with our environmental education program is not only to be aware about like how our activities can damage the environment, but also how we can make a difference and how we should act on it. We cannot just sit there and wait for somebody to fix it. We can't wait the government to fix it. We can't wait for, you know, somebody else to do it. We have to do it ourselves.
Yeah, we have to find the solution and take the control in our hands instead of to wait on the government, because like you say, maybe it's never happened. So we need to move the people need to move. And when we are moving, I believe the government will move together with us, but the people need to move.
Yeah, we need to generate that change.
Yeah, exactly. Before the government see it, get let pressure under.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have talked a little bit about it, but what specific tools do you use to facing that challenge you're facing in your work? So what tools are you using?
Well, definitely, we believe that finding common ground with the communities and the people that we work with, it's very important. Finding solutions for their problems that are also sustainably responsible or even regenerative, because now it's very interesting. We used to talk a lot about sustainability and, you know, how we need to leave the world as well as we did, you know, so that the future generations could enjoy it as we had. The problem is that we got to a point right now where we need to go further. We cannot just like sit there and leave it as it as it is. We need to leave it better.
Yeah.
So we need to do more to regenerate ecosystems, to improve the situation, to be able to sequester more carbon, to stop polluting and that kind of stuff. So I believe that education and empowering people makes a huge difference. And I think that we all want to do the right thing. We just don't know how. So when you give people like the option of how to do it, it is, it's the best way to do it. Like if you tell people, okay, so this is the impact that this activity that you're doing has. Why don't I give you an idea of how can you do this without causing an impact, or even how can you do this and also make a better condition for everybody. And for example, one of the things that we're working very strongly is with regenerative agriculture. And regenerative agriculture is all about feeding the soil, not feeding the plant, feeding the soil. So when you feed the soil starts capturing carbon and nitrogen and other nutrients. The plants grow much better, but you're also sequestering carbon from the atmosphere. So you're helping reduce the amount of carbon that is going into the atmosphere. And because they're producing better, they don't need to chop down more forests, because they're always like looking for lands that are more fertile, because they have degraded their land so much. So when you teach them this techniques, they start producing better, more, and they stop polluting the land, they stop burning land, they stop degrading their land, and they're helping with climate change, and they're becoming more resilient to climate change. And they also have a bigger variety of plants that they can eat. They have their own gardens that are feeding them. It's amazing in so many levels. So I think that finding that middle ground with communities where you're meeting their needs, trying to find ways that meets the needs, but also helping them doing it in a more not sustainable, but regenerative way. So I think that's very exciting.
It is also to move the people that is around your organization. So you are like a unit instead of, as you say, it's also so important to empower people that is around the organization so they know like what you're doing and the awareness. So that is so beautiful. Yeah, education is, information is so important to get that out to. For me, I also like to have like a simple way how to do it, a little bit fun, so you waking people up. Because when I talk with about change with people, it's like, oh my God, it's so black. It's like, no, it's like, so it's also important to focus on what is the powerful in the work, like what is the change we're making, like what is the hope we are doing the work, so people can start to get a small hope in them. Because I believe many people have really lost the hope in making the change. Because like with plastic, I talked with someone and she said to me, I asked her, why do we not pick plastic up when you go on the beach, when you see some plastic? Because when you're just passing it, you are a piece of the problem, because you see that on the ground and you go passing, you are a piece of the problem in the world, because you're not picking it up. And she said to me, yeah, but everyone is doing it. I was like, what? Yeah, but that does mean you need also to do it because other people do it. And you're talking a little bit more in it, and she don't have a hope for the planets. That's why she was not doing it. There's like, so also think it's so important to also show the hope in the work. As in the video, there's also very touching how you're building the nesting place with the volunteers and jumping, so they get like a bit of fun. You can feel the energy, you can feel the love to make a change. And it's like, I get to think, yes, I get to do that.
You should come and do it. It's really fun.
Yeah.
It's hard work, but you feel really good at the end.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
But what
it.
you're saying is absolutely right. I mean, the problem is people don't understand how that small action makes a difference. If you leave the trash there, somebody else is going to say, oh, you can leave trash here, right? But if when you leave that place, you pick up your trash and the trash that other people leave, they're going to get there and they're going to go, oh, it would be a shame to pollute this area, right?
Exactly.
I always think about what Gandhi said about be the change that you want to see in the world. So
Amen.
yeah. So I think that definitely one thing that we need to encourage is, don't wait. And we've worked with the kids talking about that kind of stuff. It's like, don't only be aware of that this trash and you don't leave your trash, but also, you pick up the trash. Why not? I mean, if you don't do it, why would you expect that somebody else will do it? It's interesting because we have had 18 years of environmental education. So we've been able to measure the impact of these things over 18 years, right? So we had kids that were 13 years old when we started doing environmental education with them. Now these guys are 20, 28, 29, 30. And not only they're like very active in their community and they're, but they're saying, I want to leave this place better than what it was. And for example, one of the girls that you saw on the video, on the other video, on the environmental education video, her name is Raquel. Raquel is one of my biggest inspirations in life because she started with us when she was like 11 or something. She was a child. My husband took her in a group diving, and we took her to different places to see, and she's like, wow, there's a lot I can do more different. That is not what I was thinking that I could do. And then after that, she went out and she studied in the university. She couldn't do it in her town because there's no university education there. So she went to another town and she studied and she came back. And in the last 3 years, she did a whole process where she negotiated with a public university in Costa Rica, and she said, I want you to bring a program so the kids in my town can go to university without having to leave the town. So it was amazing because now there's I think it's 60 people that are going through a program where they're going to become hotel managers, bilingual hotel manager. So she brought that. She made that change. She could have sat down and say, this is what it is. And she had already studied, she could have said, I don't need it. But she's thinking about how she can do more and how she can make a change. And how, that's like picking up that trash, it's like, I mean, somebody else could be fixing it, but she decided to fix it herself. So for me, I am so inspired by her. And I love that when she talks, she's like, the foundation put that seed in me to try to be better, to try to do more, to try to make a change, to have more expectations of what I can do with my life. And yeah, she's amazing. She's an amazing.
That is so beautiful to put the seeds, and your family put the seeds in her, so she could see it was possible for her to make it, and why not her? So that's just like a force of transformation. That is so beautiful.
Yeah,
it is really beautiful. There is some out there that really are the force of transformation that move people. That is like, we need that kind of people in life, and also you as a family, as an organization that will put the seeds in order to really see the opportunity and see, open the eyes for new worlds, what is possible, what can we do, instead of to have the side very closed. A lot of Danish people have the side very closed. We need to open the eyes to see the opportunity, because there's so many if you will truly look after them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Okay, which knowledge you have now, what guidance would you give to the audience to make a change in their lifestyles?
Okay, so well, definitely there's a lot of stuff that we can do in our life to change, what we do. We definitely need to think about ways to reduce our impact, and to also be a good example, because I think that people, when they start seeing when they start seeing that things are changing, they want to get involved, and I think that makes a difference. So one thing that I would tell people that is something that they can do in their lifestyle that is very easy is when they go to the supermarket, make sure that they only buy organic produce. All the non-organic products, such as bananas and pineapples, especially in the tropics, pollutes the water of millions of families worldwide. Well, worldwide. I mean, not only in Latin America, but in Indonesia and everywhere. Organic products, or hopefully maybe products that are fair trade or that kind of stuff, are also products that are providing like good opportunities for people to be able to, for producers to be able to sell their products. So they're not only buying from big companies, but they're also buying from little companies, from little farmers that need that. But going back to the organic, pineapples, for example, in Costa Rica.
Yeah, I was supposed to ask you about, can you please share the pineapple story? Because that shocked me when we talked on the telephone. I was like, what? Are you kidding? Because I know about the banana, but I never heard about what is happening with the pineapple.
Yeah, well, in Costa Rica, like non-organic pineapples have destroyed huge fields of land. They use tons of pesticides. They use airplanes to put this pesticide on the plants. So they not only kill the insects that are in their field, but they kill the insects that are all around, including bees, including other animals that are really important for pollinizing flowers, fruits, whatever. And we know that bees are disappearing in the world, right? And a lot of it is because, yeah, it's terrible. And a lot of it's because of all these chemicals, right, that are out there. So definitely buying buying organic fruit is a way to make sure that, first of all, you're eating something healthy, and second of all, you're not polluting somewhere else. Because when you buy a regular pineapple, you're polluting soil and waters of other families. So you're letting these companies get away with polluting people's lives. There's stories of people, like whole towns with cancer and stuff like that. We had a town that had a banana plantation that up to this day they cannot use their water sources. They have to bring a big truck and fill up everybody's water, because the water is all polluted, and they don't know when they're going to be able to drink water from their own system.
I know with the bananas, since that when I get that knowledge, I've never heard about pineapple. I buy like fair trade and ecologic bananas, because that you make like as a small difference compared to if you buy not ecologic and no fair trade banana, because it's so horrible how the people is around the banana tree. So yeah, I'm always looking after fair trade, the stamp if I can, and ecologic.
Yeah, that's definitely very important. And it's also very important for your own health, right? Because there's a lot of sickness that we're getting, and cancers and stuff that we're not sure where they're coming from, but I'm sure that there's all these chemicals that are out there are not helping, right? Definitely they're part of the problem. Well, another thing that I would say that is really important is that we try to reuse everything that we can and reject the use of plastic, styrofoam. Costa Rica right now just passed a law to like no styrofoam anymore anywhere in the country.
That is amazing. I saw that the news on I think it was on Facebook, it's like, hallelujah, this crazy, like how fast, like how much you are funding the line compared to other what do you call lands, what do you call like
countries.
Yeah, exactly. Like Costa Rica is so like in the line also with plastic. I also saw something with plastic. I say, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, we still have to do a lot more. Definitely, we need to do a lot more. But definitely, we've done some good steps. We've done some good steps, but there's still more to do. But definitely, one way to promote this is, you know, bring your own bags to the supermarket. If you didn't bring your bag, you forgot your bag, and you know, bring the cart to where your car is, and just pour the stuff in the back of your car, and then you'll pick it up later when you get to your house, right? It's not such a big deal. Like,
or
definitely
buy a factory bag, no plastic, but buy a factory bag because you can use it like every time.
Exactly.
Or take an old clothes or sweater and make it to a bag.
Yes, so true. That's a good idea. I never thought about that. That's a good idea. I've never done that. But
instead of to throw it out, so why not use it again?
One thing that I also recommend is that when you're buying takeout, if you can bring your own Tupperwares and stuff, you can just give it to them and say, just put the food in there instead of giving me you know, some containers that I'm, you know. So that's definitely one thing that is very useful. Obviously, having your reusable bottled water so that you don't use plastic bottles. Plastic, if you have to choose between stuff, definitely plastic should be the last thing you purchase, because I know that in Costa Rica and in the States, I don't know how's Europe doing, but I know that in Costa Rica and in the States, only like around 9% of the plastic is being recycled. So people think, oh, it's plastic, I can recycle it. No, not so much. So it's ideally you should just like try to stay away from plastic as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, when you are buying fruit and vegetable, look after things that don't have plastic on it. So I'm very like looking after things that don't have plastic on them.
That's good. Yeah. You should do that. And it's hard because I gotta tell you, sometimes like I'm very aware of that, and I bring my own bags and I try to. But then at the end, when I'm emptying all the stuff, I end up with a bunch of plastic. I'm like, oh, how hard it is to get rid of all this plastic, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
but it's like plastic on plastic. It's like, why? Like what?
Yeah. And then another thing that I would suggest definitely is buy reused clothes. Thrift stores where they sell reused clothes is a wonderful recycling process, because you take your clothes that you're not using anymore because they don't fit, or your kids leave them or there's clothes that you sometimes buy and you go, oh, this is beautiful, and then you put it on and you go, I'm never gonna wear it, right? So donate those clothes, right? And buy reusable clothes, and it has so many benefits. I mean, you know that it's already being used, so you know it's not going to change the color. You know that it's good quality. And for example, every time you buy a t-shirt, every t-shirt that you buy needs 2,700 liters of water to make that cotton. So the amount of water that you need just to make a t-shirt is enormous. And that's even more for jeans and even more for stuff. So if you need new clothes, it's crazy. If you need to buy clothes, buy reusable. I mean, why not?
It's crazy. Yeah, I have started last year, end of last year, I started to buy what you call used clothes before. But before that, I have like a habit in my mind that says, I'm not doing that, because I'm like, I need to go with the clean clothes, new clothes, so I can be like perfect and in the line. And it's something I learned from my childhood. Don't do that. I don't know exactly why I have that kind of habit in my family. No one is doing that in my family. So it's like, why? And when I say this to my family's like, what? No, I don't want to use the money. That, oh, so I don't want to give me a clothes because I buy clothes that is used.
Yeah,
It's very funny.
yeah. I mean, sometimes you have to buy some things. There's some things that you definitely have to buy, but in general, like, for example, in my family, we buy 95% of our clothes from thrift stores. We feel really good about it because, first of all, they all have some kind of a good mission behind it. Like, for example, they're helping people in need, or they're giving jobs to people with like some kind of learning disability or something like that. So they're providing jobs to people that otherwise wouldn't get a job.
That's
and
amazing.
Also, you're like saving so much energy to the world, you know, and it's like treasure hunting, because sometimes you're over there and you go, oh my goodness, this shirt is like this beautiful, and it's this brand that I love, or whatever, you know, that otherwise would be like $50. Now I'm buying it for $3, right? So it's like, it's just win-win. And you know, in Costa Rica, it's also like the culture is like, oh, you can't do that. And when I tell them, they're like, oh, really? You do that? But, you know, I'm proud of it. And I think that is a really good way to like help the environment.
Yeah, definitely. It's just a bit funny. People have that kind of view, like, so on like buy used clothes. People's like, what? It's like,
yeah, I buy it and I wash it, right? Like right away. I don't wear it without washing it first.
No.
But yeah, and then my kids grow so fast that definitely, you know, it saved me tons of money, because every 6 months my kids are like, oh, these pants don't fit anymore. It's like, okay, let's go get you another pair of pants. But before it was like $50 later, now it's like $4 later. So I was like,
oh my god, yeah. So true.
And then my last, well, I have 2 more suggestions about things that we can do, that we should do to help in our lifestyle. And one of them is not to eat cow products, or eat the least possible of cow products, because cows are definitely very, you know, they're sweet and kind, and I like them a lot. They have very bad lives, because sometimes because people are eating their meat, they're living in very bad conditions. But also from the ecosystem point of view, or the planetary point of view, the Washington Post was saying that if cows were a country, they would be the 3rd biggest producers of greenhouse gas, because people chop the land, burn the land to be able to put pastures for cows. And also, cows produce a lot of methane, and methane is one of the biggest problems on climate change. So yeah, try to eat less meat, and you know, that'll be. And then if you can volunteer
on that point, like many people, I have for I think over 3 years now, I saw the truth in the eyes what meat is doing to the world, and I was like, no thank you. And what I'm inspiring people to do is just like Monday free, like meat free Monday or meat free Thursday. So you just like have a little bit playful with it with family, and say you have meat free one day, next week 2 days, and a little bit more, and think about that to get more visible in the body.
Definitely. And there's many options, you know, that are more sustainable to eat. And you know, definitely everything has a cost, but cows definitely cow meat is definitely one of the biggest, the most complicated to handle. And then my last suggestion for people would be to try to volunteer in your community, try to get involved with your community, try to find a nonprofit that is doing something that you feel passionate for. You know, we should all get involved in some way, and there's some people that are leading the way. you know. Maybe you're not necessarily too passionate about the environment, but maybe you care about animal rights, or maybe you care about civil rights, or, you know, maybe you care about the elderly. You know, there's so many options and ways to, you know, start following some organization that is doing something that you feel passionate about, and see what opportunities there are for you to either donate or share or create awareness, or show up to a campaign, or, you know, do a beach cleanup, or plant a tree, or help with the elderly when they're lonely and sad. You know, there's so many ways to do stuff.
There's so many ideas, or you can create your own idea. If you have an idea, go for it and email our organization, or just like find a way to create your idea, to make a change and inspire other people to think out of the box, in that way also to help the organizations.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's awesome.
So to you that's watching this amazing interview, that if you go back to the email, there is like a worksheet with 5 action steps from this amazing organization, where you can look at it and you can tweak it, make it to your own. You're also welcome to send them an email if you need some support, or if you want to serve them, want to volunteer with them. Go back to the newsletter, and there is all the information you need, and you're most welcome to send both of us, I also be to you, your feedback, or what did you take out of this, because it's so important for you to put some commitment on this information you get from this organization. Because if you just get the information, we just lose it behind. We need to put some action. So please, I invite you to use a half hour of this interview to look at the 5 action steps you could do in your daily lifestyle, and see what one of them you will choose to make it your own in your lifestyle, to make a change. Small steps in making the big one. So thank you so much for being in this interview.
Thank you so much, Tanja. I'm very excited. I was very I'm thrilled that I was invited. Thank you so much.
Most welcome. I get the information, or the organization name, from my friend. He also been down in your organization. He's in the video where you're making the nest. In the left side, the guy that is jumping, like out of the jumping up. I know the guy. So
really, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's hilarious.
That's why I know you're a good organization, because I know he have been down there working with you.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's great. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's
great to hear that.
So thank you so much, Alejandra. I hope you say your name right. Alejandra?
You did it. Yeah, that's good.
Hallelujah. Names. Thank you so much. And if you need something from me, please let me know. And thank you so much again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have an amazing day.
You too. Bye, Tanja.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.